with their dogs. 2, students in an advanced high school history class, upon viewing President George W. Bush's exit press conference, asked their teacher, "Does the president have a GED? Or is he permanently stuck on stupid?" 3, people don't attack you because they don't like your way of life. Attacks come because you have played a major murderous role in disrupting their way of life. 4, I'm the decider. Jesus Christ is my philosopher. We're a peaceful nation among nations. War on terrorism. I'm a wartime president. Evil, eviler. Make them uneval. Democracy, freedom, and justice is what they hate. With us or with the terrorists. Things evil men do. They don't like our freedoms. We're fighting evil persons, evildoers, inventors of evil. We're a peaceful nation among nations. We are innocent. The American way is what they hate. God bless America. Peace. Now, close your eyes and locate your brain. Repeat each of the above words or phrases 1,000 times. Borrow a dictionary. Then look up the following in this order: deliberate, liar, F- president. Can I get an amen on that or something? I know I remember back in the 60s, and some of this word, back in 63, I wrote this poem. It's called Education. This is a 60 poem. And it goes like this. I had a good teacher. He taught me everything I know. How to lie, cheat, and how to strike the softest blow. My teacher thought himself to be wise and right. He taught me most people consider nice, such as to pray, smile, and how not to fight. My teacher taught me other things too, things that I will be forever looking at, how to be race segregated, how to be inferior without hate. My teacher's wisdom forever grows. He taught me things every child will know, how to steal, appeal, and accept most things against my will. All these acts take it facts. The mistake was made in teaching me how not to be blind. And so the 60s was a time when I matured and a whole lot of other people matured. And one of the poems that essentially set me aside as somebody serious was a poem titled, "But He Was Cool Like He Stopped for Green Lights." Super cool. Ultra black and tan, purple, and a beautiful shade. He had a double natural that would put the sisters to shame. His dashikis were tailor-made and his beads were imported seashells from some black country I never heard of. He was triple hip. His tikas were hand-carved out of ivory and came express from the motherland. He would greet you in Swahili, say goodbye, and you would go, "Ooh, Jim, he be so cool and ill-intelligent." Now, cool, so cool, he's uncool, but other niggas cool. Cool, ultra cool, Bob cool, Oxbox cool, so cool, his wine was cool, he was air-conditioned cool. Cool, real cool, made me cool, not that cool. Cool, so cool, his nickname refrigerator. Cool, so cool, he didn't know after Detroit, New York, Chicago, etc. We had hip cool, super cool, real cool, that to be black is to be very hot. And of course, during that period, just as now in your traditions, there was a war going on called the Vietnam War. And this was an anti-war poem. And about Vietnam. It's called Communication of White. Just like Johnson attacked Vietnam, Bush attacked Iraq. All right? We come up with all kind of reasons that are incorrect and wrong. Communication of White. See if you can get to this. Bomb, 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 death to all, death to all, death to all, yeah. Take your while to get that. And so for me, this whole use of words, this whole use of understanding how to communicate at a serious level brought me to the point where I think about 12, what I call 12 survival tactics. And I call these like the 12 secrets of life. I'm going to share these 12 secrets of life with you right quick. And what time is it? You got time. Okay, number one is self-knowledge. All right? Self-knowledge, number one. The Ethiopians have a saying, a cat may go to a monastery, but she still remains a cat. Africans brought to America are still Africans. You may want to call you anything they want to call you, but you're still an African. Yes, we've changed language, culture in many cases, but we're still Africans. But if a person hides from self-understanding or self-knowledge, his or her life will be built upon a bed of quicksand that promises slow but certain confusion, pain, self-doubt, and lonely death. All people need to seek change in their lives. The more a person understands his or her life, his or her mind and body, the less she or he will destroy it. Now, I'm going to say this and I'm going to move on quickly because I know you want to hear this. You are what you eat. You are what you eat. I'm a vegan. What's a vegan? What's a vegan? Well, if it runs from me, I'm not going to chase it. It's not going to get cooked. I started off as a vegetarian, then became a vegan. So food is very important. And what you put in your body is very important. Carter G. Woodson, I'm sure, understood that. All people, if they are to develop, must ask a simple question and look for the correct answer. Why are we here? Where do we come from? What's our purpose in life? Are we here to serve others or ourselves? Self-knowledge leads to self-understanding, which is the path to becoming a whole person. And again, the African proverb reads, wood may remain 10 years in the water, but it will never become a crocodile. Number two, family. Family is critical. And most of our families are functioning families. Mine wasn't, that's a draw. People are shaped by other people and culture. All people have had mothers and fathers. However, not all mothers and fathers are responsible. Therefore, black families are undergoing a transition. If one is asked to list the 5 most important ingredients for the development of a good and productive person, family will be at the top of the list. Far ahead of money, far ahead of cars, far ahead of clothes, and far ahead of fame. Working families provide serious love. So important. Number 3, community. You now find yourself in the community of Tuskegee. It's a beautiful community. It's a loving community. And in this community, you've got to find another community. What are you, freshmen, sophomores, juniors, seniors? Find that community. And there's an Ethiopian proverb that reads, the one who does not know a small garden, to one who does not know a small garden is a forest. And so you've got to come out of this understanding the importance of community. That what a family is to a relationship, to a community, a working community is the closest ecosystem that feeds, stimulates, supports, and nurtures families. Communities are impossible without families, and families are strengthened and directly influenced by community-based institutions. Number 4, avoid stress. So important. We live in a very stressful world. And people worry too much about things they can't change anyway. This is why strong families and strong communities are necessary. They help insulate individuals and define the world in more realistic terms. And this stress is critical. And it's important that this requires a fresh start, a new spirit, and an ability to attack each day while searching for happiness that is not defined by the ownership of people or things. And I got a whole list in the book dealing with, seek truth in one's life, understand one's own culture, history, and tradition, family-orientated, change, remove bad habits from one's activity. If you don't drink, don't drink. If you don't smoke, don't smoke. All right? I mean, these are bad habits. You look at one of the few black men who've been in the army, been traveling around the world, who've never been high. Never smoke, never drink. Right? You don't need it. Get high on the sister. Get high on the brother. And, just get high on deep love. That's what you need to get high on. Number 5, critical thinking. Critical thinking. This is critical. Critical thinking. That's what I learned from Ralph Ellison, Richard Wright, John Oliver Killings, Gwendolyn Brooks, Gene Tooman, Carl McKay, W.B. Du Bois, Booker T. Washington, George Washington Carver. Critical thinking. Very seldom are people taught to thinking skills. Early in life, we are told to use our minds, but how to use them is generally left to the individual. Answers to the stresses of modern life for the average person have been condensed into 30-minute sitcoms or 1-hour dramas. So solutions to the most minor illnesses can be found in 30-second commercials, and most psychological problems are now handled by radio talk show hosts. I got a problem. Well, I'm going to listen to Oprah. We have a bigger problem then. Thinking for oneself is not easy, especially if it's not been done all of your life. The mind is often captured by the insignificant, which you have been taught to listen, do not think about those things that essentially can save our lives. You say it's much easier to believe than think. It's much easier to believe than think. Number 6, discipline and motivation. This getting up in the morning to go to class, or getting up in the morning to exercise, just getting up in the morning to do anything. When you find yourself wanting to sleep to 12, 1, 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, you're in deep trouble. You're in deep, deep trouble. But very little in this world is accomplished without discipline. Discipline is a learned process. We're not born knowing it. And part of the discipline process is the ability to separate desires from needs and prioritize one's life. In a highly material culture, it is easy to lose one's way. The unimportant become important, and fruit exists as something to be eaten out of cans. That's critical. I mean, we find children in our community often have not had a fresh peach or apple or tomato comes from a can. So it's very important that we understand the importance of going toward and to the original. And that's why it was so important going to the Legacy Museum today and to your archival, because that's what's called original sources of information. Number 7, personal health plan, eating correctly and exercising. I don't need to go too deeply into that. But if you get to be my age and you're going to go up these stairs, or my brother's age right here, you got to stay healthy. You got to eat right. All that's important. Number 8, spiritual search and reciprocity. Whatever your spiritual guides are, be very critical and understand that there is knowledge in that. Understand that your spiritual force exists, but there are other spiritual forces that exist in the world also. And must be understood and respected. Number 10, self-reliance and ambition. And what we're saying about self-reliance is what we learned here at Tuskegee. Essentially, you can do what you work to do. Number 11. I hear you. Oh, I'm sorry, number 9. See, that's it. I like that. I like that. Number 9, this is critical. Cultural interaction. Cultural inaction. In most urban areas, visible and active African American culture institutions have developed. These institutions generally have low budgets and therefore need to be sought out and cultivated. What I mean by that essentially is that we have to celebrate our own culture. And most certainly coming to a place like Tuskegee, a university like Tuskegee, and all this history around us, you need to drink this history up, file it in there, and keep on. So this is the key. I've been around 20 African countries. I've been all over Europe, Central America, Latin America. And one can go to these places and feel comfortable if you know who you are. See, if you know who you are, you can interact with anybody else in the world without apologizing, without your head down, without scratching your hair and all this stuff. If you know who you are and what your world had, what your people have contributed to world civilization, you don't have no problems. Guaranteed. But that requires study. Serious, serious study. Number 10, self-reliance and ambition. Talk to them about that. Number 11, creative process. I'm a poet. And as a poet, I'm writing all the time. I'm reading poetry. I read more poetry than I write. Why? Because I'm trying to find out and keep up with what you young writers are writing about. What you young musicians are doing. What you young visual artists are doing. That's how you grow. That's how you can keep and move to the next level. Number 12, and this is the last one. Adapting to change. The world is always changing. 2 of my sons are engineers. One's a civil engineer, the other's a computer scientist. And it took my son, the computer scientist, to come to me and say, Dad, because I write with a pen and yellow pad and all this stuff. He got me on my iPad now. Right? Travel with it and all this stuff. Even got an iPhone. We gotta grow. I gotta stay on top of it. And so this world is a far different place than one that we inherit. And so I'm going to kind of move toward ending up and reading just a few poems and then let you go on with your afternoon. Everybody know who Big Mom is, right? Mo dear. Grandma, something. This is called Big Mom. Finally retired, pensionless, from cleaning somebody else's house, she remained home to clean the one she didn't own. In her kitchen, where we often talk, the Chicago Tribune served as a tablecloth to our 2 cups of tomato soup and went along with my weekly visitor talking to. She was in a seriously funny mood. And from the get-go, she was down, real down. Wrote it around here like letters in the newspaper. Are you going to be a writer? When are you going to write me some writing? The way Negroes act around here, talk could kill, we all be dead. Now, she's somewhat confused about all this blackness, but said that it's good when Negroes start putting themselves first, and added we've always shopped at the color stores. And the way Negroes cut each other around here every weekend, that white man had to worry about no revolution because, especially since he had to pay for it too. Anyhow, all you gotta do is drive a truckload of dope out there on 43rd Street, and all your Negroes and your revolutionaries be too busy getting high, and then they'll turn around and fight each other who got the mostest. We finished our cup of soup and I moved to excuse myself. As we walked to the front door, she made the last comment. Now, Luther, I know you done changed a lot. If you can think back, we never eat too much pork around here anyway. It was bad for the bellies. I shared her smile and agreed. Touching the snow lightly, I headed for 43rd Street. At the corner, I saw a brother crying and trying to hold up a lamppost. Through his wandering eyes, I could see Big Mama's words. At 78, she moves freely, is often right, and when there is food, eats joyously with her own real teeth. Is truth liberating? If it is truth that binds, why are there are so many lies between lovers? If truth is liberating, why are people told they look good when they don't? They're loved when they aren't. Everything's fine when it ain't. And glad you're back when you're not. You know, black people in America may not be made for the truth. We wrap our lives in disco and Sunday morning sermons while selling false dreams to our children. Lies are refundable. Can be bought on our revolving charge cards as we all catch truth on the next go round if it doesn't hurt. But what I'm always concerned about are these young brothers. I have sons. Fortunately, they finished the university. My youngest boy has dreadlocks, into the sisters. Fortunately, got married 3 years ago. But before that, he was a DJ. You understand? He gonna spin records, make a living. Yeah, all right. Okay, but you got to finish these 4 years first. So he did. But he said, you know, Dad, you don't know nothing about rap, and you know. I said, well, I'm one of the original rappers. What do you mean I don't know nothing about rap? You don't know who your dad is, all right? I said, I'm gonna write you a poem, all right? This is for the brothers, okay? This is for the brothers. See if it's on time. I'm gonna see if y'all. See if this, because he got beat me up and everything. Brothers bopping, bebopping, cities locked up and chained insane by cracking other acts of desperation, computerizing, Pentagon celebrating, bopping brothers both of being better, best, and beautiful. If the bopping brothers are beautiful, we're the sisters who see brother man with a drugless head unbossed or beaten by the bodacious West. In a time of big wind being blown by both so brothers with other brothers beat back with us to better and best without bragging bosses, beating butts, taking names, and digging graves. Beating badness in the bad may be urban, but is it beautiful and serious? Or is it betrayal? In an era of prepared, easy death, hanging on corner, trapping young brothers before the no difference between big death and big life. Brothers bopping, bebopping, cities locked up and chained insane by cracking other acts of desperation, computerized and Pentagon producing bopping brothers both of being better, best, beautiful, and definitely not black. The critical message is that brothers